Hey there. If you're seeing this, I've decided that I'm going to share with you my tricks of the trade when it comes to streaming as far as different games or different applications, audio levels, and keeping everything uniform to your voice. Now, everything's going through your desktop audio, right? So normally, if a game is quieter than it was before, or somebody tells you game's too quiet, game's too loud, you're in here just kind of guesstimating on your desktop audio, moving it up and down. Well, I have mine locked at negative 8.0, and it's going to stay there. And let me show you what I do to adjust the volume. First off, every computer is going to be a little different, but you're going to have this little fella. I right click on the speaker icon down here, and I open volume mixer. I always keep my main global volume. Just I don't know, it's a thing. I keep it at 70 at all times. It's just something that helps me keep everything uniform to get it locked in. Now, obviously, you go in here and you can mute and unmute stuff. Okay, so let's say that I've decided I'm going to play Siphon Filter. Go in here, go down to your Siphon Filter. And now I got EPSXE come up on my screen. Go ahead. Okay, now I'll unmute it. Now let's bring. Now watch the desktop audio here.
They are coming. Go, torch it.
You see how that green bar is coming to about right below the 25 decibel or negative 25 decibel mark? I found out that the sweet spot for all my game's volumes compared to where my voice is going right up to it's going right to the point where the yellow meets the red at the max. If I scream real loud, it'll go a little higher.
Over there.
That's a whole other thing to try to teach people though. So that's going to about 20 or 25, the negative 25 to negative 30 mark. I found out is a sweet spot to go with where I have my mic at. So your mic will always be at the same volume. You should never have to turn it up and down. Find a good spot where it sounds good. And never turn your mic up and down. Leave it where it is. The only thing you should ever adjust if you're having one thing too loud and one thing not is game volume. Your voice, you have tons of filters. If you're like me, you've used a lot of filters to get your voice to not go past a certain point so that you don't get distortion or blow your friend's ears out. And you may also use noise suppression like I do, depending on if you have a lot of background noise or if you have a very high-gained mic. So once you get your mic set the way you like it, and as loud as, what I do is I go as loud as I can get my mic with still having good quality. Then, the only thing you ever have to worry about is desktop audio. But I keep my desktop audio right at that negative 8.0. And if I want to change the game volume, I just go over here. See, look, now we're going up into the yellow. Now, clearly, that's way too loud for my voice, right? You all can probably, if you can hear me at all, you can barely hear me. Of course, we go to 4, and the game gets really quiet. So I did a lot of trial and error. In this particular application, most games, and some of the games vary in volume that I play through it, most games sound great at the 8 or 9 volume mark. Now, that's based on me having it by master at 70 though. Now, we may have a different issue when we go into this this next game. So I got that right where I want in the 30 to 25 mark. Now, if we are to go, let's do Clock Tower 3, shall we? We shall. Now, let's see what happens in the desktop audio mark. I'll see, now this one's at max because I haven't adjusted it yet. Some programs will hold their volume even after you turn them off. They'll hold its volume that you have it set at in the control panel here in the volume mixer. Sometimes they won't, and you'll have to continually, each time you open it, you'll have to go back and set it. You'll just have to remember what you had it set at last. But doing this way cuts down on having to do it in OBS. So, you know, this is running a lot hotter. I mean, obviously it's turned way up here. Let's try 35. Now those little, you see the little dots there, the yellow dots on desktop audio? Then they moved up and down. Those let you know where it peaked out at last. And it'll change over time. If it doesn't get that loud, it'll show where it peaks out the next time it goes so high. It'll probably do it soon because it's held below. So getting to know your audio interface there will help you know where to set your volumes. Okay, so that's going to run a little hot for my voice. It's going to run a little hot for my voice there. You want to drop that to 25 there now, maybe. It's a trial and error. It's a little trial and error. It's still running a little hot. Now, sometimes games' intro volume and in-game volume will... the game will be internally volumed to a certain way. So you might have to check where your bar is going up to once you get to your in-game volume. You know, you might just look over at it while you're streaming if you're playing the same game for a long period of time. That way you kind of have an idea where's a good place for your volumes to stay so that it gets loud enough, so that if people can hear the game good enough, but that the low parts, are still loud enough. So there's a balance. There's a balancing act. Definitely. So it looks like I've got it to where, and let's see this part right here musically. It's supposed to be quiet. It's audio engineered that way. Kind of creates that ominous tone, right? Ooh. By the way, this is a freaking killer game. Literally. Gosh, this would be great to play in October. So for this particular game, and it may vary from game, and what I'm using here, where you have different games within the software that you play on it, you might have to go up and down. And there's also in-game volumes you can adjust, but you want to use this bar here, your volume meters. Okay, so now we're hearing some in-game volume. Very good, very good. Let's see if we get to a high volume part here in this little demo. I don't remember this part. No, we ain't gonna. But yeah, so you get the gist of it. So we've not touched the desktop audio at all. EPSXE is at the volume that it should be at in the control panel in the volume mixer to reach the decibel level that it needs to in order to sound good with my voice. Not overbearing, not too quiet, but within my specific situation, and it may be the same for you if you set up your voice to go up to the mark that mine goes up to. Goes into the yellow, but it just barely tiptoes into the red. That's how I have mine set. And that's probably gained a little too high, to be honest. Most people will say that creates a distortion. When I really get into it and scream, you'll hear that clearly. But yeah, there's the basic gist of it. That's how Kame does it. Desktop audio never gets touched. My mic audio never gets touched. Any game I play, I find it as I open it up. I'll look in my volume mixer. It'll pop up once the game has actually been opened. Any game that I go to open, whether it's Fall Guys or an emulator or whatever you're using, you can go over and adjust the in-game volume with your volume mixer app that you found from right-clicking in your control panel. All right. Well, there's a little trick of the trade, and then if you want to use that, it'll save you some time and frustration. So yep, there you go.